Alright, what's going on YouTube? Brutal Death by here once again, and today I wanted to take a look at Titanfall 2 and offer up my initial thoughts and impressions on the Titanfall franchise. But before I do that, I just want to give my thanks and appreciation to my subscribers. A few days ago, the channel was able to hit 1,000 subscribers, which happened a lot quicker than I expected considering I only had 43 subscribers in October. So, pretty pathetic. But not only that, I've just really appreciated all of your guys' support and all of your guys' engagement that you've given me with the recent content on the channel. I'll try not to suck too many dicks here, but just at this point, I'm just glad that as a small YouTuber myself who does YouTube on a part-time basis, that I'm beginning to reach more of an audience and build a community, which is really the reason that I got into YouTube in the first place. And I'm thankful my community hasn't turned toxic yet, the way so many channels do once they reach a certain point. Thankfully, I'm still small, and most of you guys are really cool from what I've seen, so, keep being awesome. But yeah, cutting all the foreplay and ass-grabbing, I'm just really saying that I appreciate you guys and thank you for your continued support. No homo. But enough homoerotic pandering and pathetic genuflecting here. Man, that's embarrassing. Let's get into the topic for today. So let's take a look at Titanfall 2, shall we? I ended up picking this one up as part of a Black Friday special, and I've only heard good things from it. I played a little bit of Titanfall 1 and really appreciated what it contributed to the game's industry. I mean, who doesn't love the idea of badass war mechs blowing each other up on the battlefield with soldiers and other players? It also introduced the wall running and advanced movement system that Call of Duty would subsequently later copy, though I don't think any game quite did it as fluidly as Titanfall 1 did. It took a play out of the MOBA game's playbook and introduced creeps, or AI players, into the multiplayer matches that gave you something to shoot at all times and gave new players a chance to feel like they contributed to the match even if they were getting dunked on by normal players. This was a game that, I mentioned in my Call of Duty video where I call Vince Zampella Frank Zampella like a total noob. Complete rookie maneuver on my part. But this is a game that Vince and Jason, a former Infinity Ward glory, worked on. It was even hailed as the next COD killer, and it also had a low time to kill, which made it a frenetic twitch shooter where constant movement was the key to staying alive most of the time, making it further compare with the Call of Duty franchise. To top it all off, it had an intriguing lore hidden behind all of the multiplayer gameplay that players wanted more of, myself included. And though it was a fun game with really solid mechanics, it really felt like a tease to most players. It had these really interesting narratives at the start of multiplayer matches, but it had no single-player campaign to flesh out this intriguing narrative, and the mini-stories baked into the multiplayer component clearly weren't substantial enough. Players wanted a full experience. This was during a time when other multiplayer shooters were trying to do the half-assed, multiplayer-only, no single-player campaign approach. This represented a precarious gambit to many players due to the fact that if the game didn't do well and the community dies off after a few months, they essentially bought a $60 glorified paperweight with no access to populated servers to enjoy the content. Does anybody remember Evolve? That also featured a compelling game world with some great asymmetrical multiplayer mechanics, and it died a hideous slow death, reeling in irrelevance and insignificance after just a few short months. Clearly, players were not incentivized into buying a partial experience that was heavily microtransaction from the start, leaving many gamers with a feeling of being shortchanged content and being charged more money to experience a more complete version of the game. So with all this disaffection with the business model, it's no surprise to me that the game's novelty wore off real quick and player population plummeted after just a few short months on the market. It wasn't until Evolve went free to play that it saw a major resurgence with the community, but that may have been too little too late, as Turtle Rock, the studio behind Evolve, have already moved on to other projects. And sadly, Titanfall 1 seemed to have suffered a similar fate. It was a partial experience, and even the multiplayer component was lacking a lot of vital content. There were very few weapons to use, no substantial progression system to speak of, no cool customization options for either your pilot or your Titan to earn or unlock. It had limited game modes, with attrition being the main one, and there were only 3 Titans with a set playstyle you couldn't really change. It also had the controversial smart pistol that automatically locked onto players, that made it easy for newer players to just camp and perch up in corners and auto-lock onto players as they went by. This frustrated a lot of players because it compressed the skill gap further in a game that already had a blazing time to kill. So it really looks like Respawn Entertainment has taken a lot of criticism to heart and player feedback and just incorporated that into Titanfall 2. As you can see, they gave players an engaging single-player campaign that let us explore its world and its characters and its setting, which I'm playing in the background here. From what I understand, the Smart Pistol also isn't something that you can just use anytime. It's more of a power-up item now. There are more Titans to choose from, and there's way more customization for your pilot and your Titan. Now, I'm just getting into the game at this point, so my knowledge of these specific things are still limited and secondhand in nature, but as I play and learn and grow, I'll probably start producing tips and guides of the things that I just find helpful for newer players. You know, that's what I like doing for you guys, just trying to look out for you and help out any way I can. But even in the early stages of playing this game, I can say my first impressions have been encouraging. First of all, mad props to Respawn for actually doing a proper PC port on this game. A lot of console-centric games such as Call of Duty are just cancer sloppy ports where the frame rate is locked with the mouse speed, or they just don't get the proper treatment with the features that PC players expect, or the right optimization for basic performance taking advantage of more powerful PC hardware. But such is not the case with Titanfall from what I hear. It runs very well on PC with all the features that PC players have come to expect with their games. And the game runs really well on console too, considerably smoother than BF1 runs on Xbox for instance, with fewer frame drops and less judder. Graphics-wise, it's not nearly as impressive as a Frostbite game, since I do believe this game is still running on a heavily modified Source 2 engine, an engine that dates all the way back to 2004, the Half-Life 2 days, but this game still holds out as a testament that strong art design can actually carry a game with technological limitations. Because of the strong visual design, it's still quite a beautiful and interesting game to look at. Compare the lush, finely detailed scenery and game worlds of Titanfall 2 with the overtly simplified, plastic sheen, completely sanitized and sparse block-shaped environments of a Call of Duty Infinite Warfare map. There's just no comparison. Even COD 4 on the remaster looks considerably better than Infinite Warfare maps, because in COD 4 their maps are densely detailed and have like a real lived-in and quasi-authentic feel to them. When I see an Infinite Warfare multiplayer space map, it looks like everything was perfectly waxed and wrapped in saran wrap with hardly any cover whatsoever. And even though Call of Duty has some really impressive looking cutscenes with character models and really great facial animation, it's definitely more impressive than Titanfall 2, no doubt, I still think that Titanfall 2 is the stronger game visually, purely from a creative standpoint. Moving on, my only other impression is that the gameplay is still really tight as a virgin's ass, and twitchy as ever as a tweaker. I can already tell that, with this game, the time to kill is considerably quicker and more melty than Battlefield 1, so constant tactical movement with twitch reflex shooting is going to be the key to a lot of success in this game. Right off the bat, I can recommend to new players to switch the control scheme if you're using a controller from default to the evolved setting. The reason I say this is because the evolved control scheme allows you to jump with your left bumper and allows you to crouch and slide by clicking the right analog stick. This is the control scheme I would recommend if you're not using a Pro controller or a SCUF controller, because it allows you to jump around and change your stance without having to take your thumb off of your aiming sticks. It takes quite a bit of practice to get used to, but once you get it down, you'll have a much easier time outmaneuvering players who are stuck on the default control scheme, who have to move their thumb off the joystick to press the jump button or the crouch button. And like I said, you don't want to get hit in this game because you will die very quickly, and jumping and crouch sliding in rapid succession can extend the enemy's time to kill you and give you further opportunity to outgun them, which you might not have if you had not been moving in the first place. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave it at today, though, as I'm just playing through campaign and learning all of the weapons and Titan modes, but I'll have more on the way if this game interests me or if you guys want to see more. I'm still going to be making my main Battlefield content on the channel regardless, as I still have quite a few topics I'd like to cover with Battlefield 1. Speaking of which, just so you know, I have my scout guide for Battlefield 1 coming up very soon. I just unlocked the Martini Henry, so I'm playing around with that. But yeah, just so you know, don't worry, I'm not stopping making my Battlefield videos. I'll have more on the way. But that's really what I had for you guys today. And again, just my thanks and gratitude for your support. And I wanted to just give this video as my initial thoughts and impressions on this game, Titanfall 2. But give me your thoughts. Do you guys like what you heard today? Do you agree or disagree? Have any of you guys picked up this game? And if so, are there any tips you'd like to recommend both myself or newer players? If you guys want to leave a comment, you know what to do. But that's what it's going to be for today, guys. I hope my American friends had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope the rest of you are doing well abroad too. But until next time, this has been Brutal Death Pie, and I'll speak with you guys again soon. Have a good one. I'm out.
It's almost like this dude is using the Martini Henry. Thing's taking us out in one hit.